So yesterday we talked about, in previous video we talked about a Docker Compose where we can run multiple containers with just a single command. Now in today's video we'll learn about Docker volumes, which is data persistence. So until now containers are basically temporary and databases lose data when container stops, right? So if you are working in startup or in company, when there will be a need to use a database, uh, and when you will use container along with it, and when you will try to restart the container, if you have, or if you are storing the data inside the container, all the data will be lost. So in order to avoid that thing, we use volumes, right? So volumes fix this. So what if we don't use volumes? So if we did docker compose down, means stopping the container and again restarting it. So if the data is stored inside the container, all the data will be lost, right? So uh, so we'll take one example of Postgres data. So the Postgres data will be all be gone because containers are ephemeral. So it basically means that a temporary. When we rebuilt the container, all the data is gone. So that's the reason. So what is Docker volume? So let me explain you all this thing in simple words. So a volume is basically a storage outside the container, right? Which is managed by Docker itself, and it survives container restart, rebuild, or deletion, right? So container, basically consider it as a container as a brain and volume as its memory. So we'll take one example. So first we'll add volume to a docker compose.yml, right? So we'll basically take the same project that we created in previous video of Docker Compose, and in that project I will make some changes and will basically run that same thing. So before getting to the terminal, let me explain you what changes we are going to make in docker compose.yml. So if you remember, we have made two services. First one is API and second one is database. Now when it comes to data, we'll work on these DB services where we need to add the volumes. Now here we are simply mapping it. So this is the location where PostgreSQL stores the data inside the container, right? And Postgres data is basically where the Docker maps it to the Postgres data, which is the name of the volume that we are creating. And we are here defining the volumes, and here the name of the volume, that is Postgres data. Now let's get back to the terminal and let's check which project we have made earlier. So yeah, we made a fast API compose, and let me open VS Code as well, and let's wait for few seconds until it's open. So here you can see it's the same project that we have created in our previous video. So here we need to simply add volumes and volumes inside this DB. So here basically we have added few of the information like image, container name, environment and all, and below the environment I'll just simply add volumes, right? You guys do along with me, like hands-on. And here we'll give the name of the volumes, that is Postgres data. And let me copy this path. So I'll simply copy it and I'll paste it over here, right? After we have pasted this thing, let me come outside the service and let me define volumes over here, and name of the volume is Postgres data. that we created above, right? So here we have updated the docker compose.yml. Now let's get back to the node board, right? So here we have made changes in our docker compose.yml. Now I'll need to rebuild it again by using the command that is a docker compose up build, and let us hit enter. um, and here we got one error, or it's basically validating that services.db additional property volumes is not allowed. um, mm, let's check one thing. Okay. mm, Here we have added this. We have done the mapping as well over here. um, Path where it's basically stored. uh, if I build it again, okay, so error basically was that we are using the wrong name. So let me correct it again, and let's build it and let's see. Yeah, now it's basically working, and here you can see that the Postgres is also running and all the thing. Now if I open another terminal, uh, let me magnify it so that it will be visible to you. Now if I check volume ls, so here you can see the name of the volume that we basically created over here, that is fast API compose Postgres data. Now we have verified it. Now let's do one thing. Let's inspect that volume by using command that is docker in volume inspect. Inspect Postgres data, name of the volume, and no volume found. So let's give full name compose Postgres data, and here you can see all the information about it, that where it was created, driver, its local and all the information of the volume is provided, right? After that, now it's a time to test the persistence, so we need to do this. So for that, I'll try to do one thing. I'll try to insert the data into the DB. I'll basically try this thing whether I will able to insert it or not. So for that, what I'll need to do is that I'll need to click on PS, and here you can see the name of the container, that is Postgres DB. Now I'll need to use command docker exec. Exec basically means that the container which is already running, I need to go inside that container. If I have used docker run instead of exec, it basically means that creating the new container, and it will not be referring to this container. That container will be something else, means different container. That's the reason why we have used exec instead of run. Now let's give the name of the container. The In order to run PostgreSQL, you need this command, that is psql u for user and d for database, which is this. Connection to server on socket failed. User does not exist. Here we have given the name of the user as Postgres. Yes. So instead of user, we have given the name as something. Let's go here and create database mydb, and let's hit enter. So I guess a database is created. Let's go over here, and now let's run this command, and yeah, there you go. Now you are inside this mydb. Now you need to create table. Okay, so table is basically created. Now let's do one thing. Let's insert the values. Insert into table name, we need to give table name users, and let's basically insert the values, which will be the UID, into table name, so basically we have inserted the values. Now select star from users. So here basically you can see the data that we have inserted. Now I'll basically just quit, and I'll use docker compose down, and then I'll again do docker compose up, right? Now after that, if I go over here and if I went inside docker execu postgres db, then psql, name of the user we have used is postgres, here you can see, and then you need to go inside mydb. Docker ps, okay. So the mistake that we made over here is this. Let's give id, and we are inside it. Now if I used from users, and still here you can see the data which is still there, though we used compose down and compose up, where we have restarted the container, the data is still being there. So that's the power of volume that I was talking about, where we have used compose down and compose up, and still the data is already there because we have used volume. So the important warnings that you should consider, that is, do not store database data inside the container, like without using volumes, right? Because containers are disposable and data loss is guaranteed. And do not commit database inside the image, right? Because images are stateless. Stateless basically means that Docker container forgets once the container stops, right? So this was all for today's video. We basically saw what Docker volumes actually are, why we need Docker volumes, what are the disadvantage of using database inside the containers and all, and what Docker volume actually is made for, right? And here we have made some of the changes in our previous videos project inside the docker compose.yml, and then we also verified volume exists or not. We created a table and we stored the data and we restarted the container, and we also checked that the data was there, right? So this was all from my side for today's video. I'll see you again in next video with more new concepts about Docker, and we'll try to learn Docker in easy manner, right? So till then, happy coding. Bye.